Hello, everyone. Why am I posting this today? Well, multiple reasons. One, I wanted to get ahead of the curve. Two, the part five, sorry, the second half of my side story part five will be dropping today. In fact, I'm going to be dropping this as soon as the video goes up. So, to get you guys really hyped for that chapter, I'm not sure if everyone caught on, but yes, the chapter I did post yesterday, the story I did post yesterday about Rarity, yeah, and Sweetie Belle and a certain pregnancy. Yeah. Oh crap, that's a horrible way to describe it. That's not what happened. Okay. For those who didn't read, the story involved Rarity finding out that her little sister is pregnant and getting stupidly aggressive with a shotgun. Because of course she did, obviously. Duh. It's Rarity. She overreacts to everything. But anyway, yeah, that story, for those who didn't know, is secretly part of the SWWC series, the side stories. When I post the new chapter, I will be updating the title, updating the link, and I will be posting the new chapter. The new chapter, reason I did this is because the first chapter had nothing, I repeat, nothing connected to SWC, but it was needed for the background of the epilogue, which is directly built into SWC. Okay, you'll see what I mean when we get there. I'm like, there's a lot, and I'm also afraid I may have put too much. Like, you can read the first chapter on its own, be its own funny thing, but the epilogue itself not only answers several questions you might have had of chapter one, but also what tangles it tightly with SWC. So freaking tightly to the point that it really can do without it. And there's a lot I've done. It's not going to be a longer chapter. No, don't worry. I think it's actually shorter. Can't remember exactly. Anyway, folks, for July, since yes, this is the schedule for July, yeah, I've got two things planned, two stories. As you can probably figure from the cover, not sure if you guys can see what the hell I'm doing. Certainly hope not. Okay, you guys can't. Good. I certainly hope not. Anyway, yeah. For July, we'll be getting two stories exclusively. That'll be the only thing we're getting that month. And that's mostly so I can catch up on other stories that I've been falling behind on. But the stories we'll be doing is we'll be continuing Dragon May Cry. Be continuing that. I'm already way ahead of you guys. I've got roughly the entirety of July already fully written. I'm just posting it down at a good pace. And along with the second story, which I haven't finished fully, but I'm getting a good chunk of the way there. Anyway, so the first story, obviously, so Dragon May Cry, you'll be getting Tuesdays through Thursdays, 3 chapters a week. Why am I doing like that? Because at the end of every season, you'll be getting a fourth additional chapter. That's right, folks. For those who actually read that disgusting parts that I just post purely to keep you guys happy, those chapters, those disgusting extra chapters, yeah, those will be posted on the Friday of that when the act ends. After which I might do a break, like a week break, just to let everything refresh in your minds, folks, because while I don't care much about the dirty chapters, I do care about your minds bubbling for the other chapters. Like, for instance, oh, please, I can't think of a chapter off of my mind. What's going on for this season? Let's see, you guys are currently in Dang it, load. Okay, you guys are currently in Act 4, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you guys are finishing Act 4. Wait, no, you're not finishing it yet. You actually got good way to go. And for those who might have already caught on, yes, a certain Silverbird did show up. And there'll be a lot to cover with her backstory. Won't be getting her backstory just yet until Act 5, but we'll be getting a lot of fun stuff to do with her during Act 4, okay? And, yeah, overall, just a really good set of episodes. They'll be, and set of chapters they'll be coming in during July. 3 for each week, with a fourth one when the act ends. And I might, not quite sure yet, I might take a break after an act ends. If this works out for July, I might continue this through August, September, and so on. I don't know how long the series will keep going, okay? I do know I plan to go beyond the obvious acts involving Silverbird. That's obvious, because for those who don't know the story so far, Spike kind of needs to fight and go back and fight someone before the story can even end. And then he's got to go meet up with the other Dragon Lords. And there's a lot of stuff to still do. Okay? But outside from that, what are you getting during the rest of July? Well, you guys have noticed the cover. MLP fans, tell me, who is this? Obviously, you're saying that's Lara Croft. Try again, folks. MLP fans, who is this? Well, yeah, obviously it's Lara Croft, but for this fandom, those who don't know, is that Daring Do is a reference to Lara Croft. Okay, I'm going to be using this as a cover for the new series, being Daring Do's new series for SWC, and it will be called Daring Against the Glacier, hence the snow image. I couldn't find any good images of her in snow, dang it. It's rather idiotic. I'm like, I don't want to use an AI art cover, I really don't. So I'm like, give me a game cover. Like, give me a cutscene from the game. I know she's been in snow during the games, dang it. Like, okay, hopefully this is not AI. Anyway, I kind of wanted to... considering it's Lara Croft, you kind of expected, like, oh, I'm going to choose something that's very eye candy, very eye popping, very lure in the clicks. What am I surprised Lara Croft decided to wear something competent in the snow? She actually wore something competent in the snow, damn it. Anyway, folks. So, this will be the cover I'm aiming for. Hopefully people get the reference. I mean, who else doesn't know? I mean, come on, Daring Do is blatantly just Lara Croft. I did have this one idea for a cover chosen, where it was like literally Daring Do wearing Lara Croft's classic tank top and brown pants. But that one I didn't like. It was a very old image from an old artist. I didn't like the angles and stuff. It felt very stretched out. Luckily, it wasn't AI, from what I could tell, but it felt very stretched out. So I'm like, I'll just go with this. This is simpler, easier to fit into the image. And for Daring Do's story, which will be coming out in July, we are getting chapters through Saturday and Monday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 chapters. Boom, boom, boom. The aim is roughly currently 13 chapters, but it might go up to 18. I haven't finished fully writing them yet, okay? Anyway, folks, but the series is basically, after Canterlot's fall, Daring Do sets out to uncover the fate of Quibble Pants and the rest of the crew that vanished on that mysterious frozen glacier. As stated, this is canon to what CW WC. And unlike the other story, which I'll be updating, the Rarity and Sweetie Belle story, unlike that one, this one is more heavily connected. This one will require more direct knowledge, but not as much as you might think, okay? You just need to know that Canterlot fell and that Quibblepants is missing. That has pretty much been answered in the first chapter of SWC, okay? That is answered instantaneously. Because the first chapter literally goes over Quibble arriving at the glacier and then something happening. We don't know what, because that hasn't been revealed yet in SWC, and Daring Do is going to basically show up after the fact. For those who really liked that section of Quibblepants, this is your meaty section for what happens next, okay? And originally I wanted to post it separate because I didn't want it to be dealt with the baggage of SWC. I noticed that a lot of fans will read both stories, both the originals and the sequels and so on, but they'll be a bit hesitant sometimes to read, something that is a sequel to something that they don't want to take time to read. For instance, Journey to Heartswarming, yes, is canon to the Twilight Saga. But the Twilight Saga is horrible in grammar. It is a complete utter mess, pacing-wise, and is just a lot of extra reading just to get into what is already really freaking massive as Journey to Heartswarming. Journey to Heartswarming is 7 freaking seasons long. Okay, 7 seasons long. And yet people would only start reading it because I disconnected it from Twilight Saga. Even though it is technically the third story in the Twilight Saga, yes. For those who read Twilight Saga, they know this. They know that SWC continues the Twilight Saga, even though it's not required to read the Twilight Saga to understand what's going on in SWC. You just have to know, Twilight Sparkle's missing. Why is she missing? Obviously, because things happening in obviously things happening in Journey to Heartswarming. You don't need to know the events of Journey to Heartswarming to know about the events of SWC. You just have to know that she's missing. Okay. And when it comes to Daring against the glacier, all you really need to know is that Quibblepants is missing. That's the only thing you need to know. Now, when it comes to the other side stories, you might have noticed that, yes, the Rarity story was clean. It was very clean. Well, kind of clean. It was teenager rating. But compared to the other side stories, oh shit, the other side stories. Oh, blazes. When I originally started this side story stuff, it was to basically say SWC original would stay teen rating. But these side stories, I could push the ratings into M by adding more gore, adding more gunk, adding more stuff. And for the most part, part 1, it worked perfectly fine, okay? Part 1 is probably one of the dirtiest stories I ever wrote. Dirtiest, goriest, I ever wrote, okay? And for the most part, people did like it. Not exactly great ratings, but 30 isn't that bad, okay? But then we go to the other side stories, and this is going to be my second one that's longer than a single chapter. And the other single chapters, they didn't do so good. They didn't do so good. I mean, let's just give it a look, okay? Well, you guys can't see a thing, but I can. We'll go into Something Wrong with Canterlot. And now, while the ratings are similar, we've got 30 for part... Well, it was part 3, actually, that was... Yeah, it was part 3 that was the longer one. Okay. But yeah, the longer and dirty one was part 3. Anyway, part 3, 30. Part 4, 20. 22. Okay, part 1, 23. Part 2, 18. Damn, that one was bad. Anyway, but you're all thinking, oh, these just sound similar in ratings, right? But then when we go to the comments, I've got good comments for the long story, for the last long story I did for side stories. Really good, okay? Really good comments. 51. That's pretty damn good. But then I go to part 4. 2 comments. Just 2. Just fucking 2. I'm not mad that you guys don't want to talk to me. I'm not mad. But it is hard for me to gauge whether or not these stories are good if I'm getting no comments at all. For instance, part 1. Also 2 comments. And by 2 comments, I'm actually referring to someone that actually commented and my reply. That is the same for both of those. And what about part 3? Part 2. The one with the lowest rating of all. No comments at all. You can understand my concern and why I went out of my way to not include the bar of the SWC side story part 6 and part 5 onto I Want to Talk to Him. I Want to Talk to Him is already a fun story, okay? It's already gotten 10 comments. I haven't read them all yet since I updated this video. I will be updating this video. I will be replying to those comments later before this video goes up. But yeah, 10 comments, not bad, okay? And it got featured. Pretty good. And look at that, 44 upvotes. That's so much better. And I think that's mostly because this thing is a standalone. The only ones that know it wasn't a standalone are the people who kept up with my updates, okay? Newbies, random readers, don't know at all that this is a standalone. Don't know that this is not a standalone. However, I am not being deceptive, because if you go into the first chapter itself and you read the author notes, you will realize that yes, this is part 5. It straight up says it right there in the author notes, that this is part 5, and I will be updating it when the new chapter comes out. But the fact is, it got more ratings because people thought it was a standalone, okay? Because they thought it was a standalone before they clicked the freaking links. And I'm glad about that. I'm glad I got people to like this story. It's hilarious, okay? But at the same time, I'm concerned when I put down Daring Against the Glacier that it's going to be revealed that, yeah, this is a side story. You guys need to read extra stuff. Like, you don't need to. But it feels like the readers think they need to. I try my best with every story that's a sequel to make it a not requirement to read something, okay? And while I'm saying that it is technically a requirement to read at least the first chapter of SWC, I'm not telling you to go out of your way to read everything else connected to SWC. You're not required to read every single side story from SWC just to understand Daring Against the Glacier. You are not required to go read Journey to Heartswing just to understand Daring Against the Glacier. You are not required to read the Twilight Saga at all, whatsoever, just to understand what's going on during the glacier. It would be good. It would be good to have that extra knowledge in the back of your mind, but it's not going to be required at all. And I don't like having that baggage on people. So, yes, when I post Daring Against Glacier, it will not have the title. It will not have side stories built into it. It will have it later, though. Okay? It will have it later. I want to say roughly second weekend. Yeah, probably second weekend. Yeah. Because by that point, the readers that are staying are going to be the ones that actually got hooked, okay? Any new readers are not going to care too much. Because by that point, it will be nowhere near the front page at all, whether or not it's new, updated, or so on. Well, yeah, it will be when it's updated, but people rarely check the updates unless they're like actively following the story. And I'm glad that people are actively following the story. I'm glad people are actively following Dragon May Cry, which, for those who don't know, is not connected at all to SWC. Despite how much I'm talking about SWC, there is no connection at all with SWC with the Twilight Saga, with and Dragon, blah, 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 with Journey of Heartswarming. None of that is connected to Dragon May Cry. Dragon May Cry is its own standalone story. It will always be its own standalone story because that is meant to be a parody of Devil May Cry, okay? It kind of needs to be its own standalone story to be a parody of Devil May Cry. But anyway, will I keep things clean in Daring Do? Kinda, not sure yet. But the big thing about Daring Do is she's based on Laura Croft, dang it. Do I need to answer the obvious facts on that with the fandom? Do I need to go into the gritty detail of how much of the Laura Croft fandom are horny whores? There will be a lesbian plot, but I'm not sure whether or not it'll just be kissing or it will be full on action. I'm not sure yet. But the angle here is no, she won't just randomly find Quibble and start making out with him. No. I just said a lesbian, so obviously there'll be another character hanging out for her, okay? It won't be just Daring Do alone. You're all thinking, Rainbow Dash, Rainbow Dash. People love shipping her of Rainbow Dash. But those who have read SWC, you know Rainbow Dash is currently missing. And that is an integral piece of Daring Do without needing to actually read the story. Okay? You don't need to read SWC to know this. It will be intentionally stated in Daring Against Glacier that Rainbow Dash is missing, that Quibble is missing, and this is haunting her, okay? She has to actually find out what happened to Quibble, therefore she can accept whatever happened to Rainbow Dash. And I've got some really fun ideas for this one. For those who wonder, it is very much going to lean on, I want to say, think Metroid Prime 2, the opening sections. That's very much what's inspiring this, is the opening sections with the, like, the dead soldiers, the ruined spaceship, and those ings and so on. There's a lot of inspiration there. It isn't full-on parody of that, no. But that was very much bubbling in my mind while I was writing this. I'm like, yeah, this feels exactly like this, but not quite. I haven't checked the health feed. How long has this thing been going on? 23 freaking minutes. Shit, ouch. Anyway, folks, I will be posting this, and then I will be, like, I'll probably post this around 3. Yeah, I'll post maybe 5. Because, yeah, it's nearly 2 now. Yeah, 4. I'll post it at 4. Anyway, I'll post this at 4. Maybe sooner, depending when my roommate shows up, sooner or later. Because she tends to throw off a lot of my schedule for a day until I get back on the computer. Because she usually wants me to cook. Like, alright, let me stop everything I'm doing just to cook some food. So yeah, it might be a little late, it might be a little early, depending on when the roommate shows up. I'll post this video and then I'll update the Rarity storyline to include details connecting to SWC. That will still keep its teen rating. Nothing changed about that. And in fact, when it goes on to the next side stories after Daring Do's one, I'm starting to think some of them won't really need the M rating. At least not for the sense of, oh, I'm going to put a bunch of sex in the story. No. I might do the M rating purely from the sense of, oh, this is going to be a very gory story. That's especially going to be noticeable when we get into, like, the backstories for, like, one of the side stories is a direct backstory for one of the Anti-Six, okay? And his backstory, whoa, there's a lot of dark shit in that, okay? A lot of gore, a lot of dark shit. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. And some of them will be leaning towards it. It doesn't mean every story is suddenly going to be clean. No. But I will be taking time to note which ones I can take away the M rating or the ones I can keep the M rating for. I'm not just going to post every single one of them. It's going to be M rating, stored, M rating, stored, M rating. I'm like, no. I'm looking back. Part 2 really didn't need to be M rated, nor did Part 4. It was good to have some kissing moments, some passionate moments, but I could have easily just gone faded to black, especially during the Part 4. I really could have just faded to black if I one day. Anyway, Part 3, no. Part 3 definitely needed a lot of that disgusting shit. Because it was them exploring the darkest sides of Equestria hidden under the horribleness of the chaos. So I definitely needed to dive headfirst into the splatter and dig my way till I reached a bottom. Will things get as that insane again? I doubt it. I really didn't like writing that one. Like, despite the amount of disgusting shit I post, I really don't like writing a lot of them. I write them purely because the storyline is in my head, and if I don't get it out, it will be bugging me all fucking night. It will stop me from writing stories I actually like to write, so I might as well write the damn thing and get it out of my way. You have no idea how many stories got pushed back purely because something wanted to bug me. Something wanted to bug me. Oh, this idea, this idea. I want this idea, this idea. I'm like, no, I don't want this idea. I just want it out of my head. Now I need to stop. This is getting near 30 minutes. I don't want this video to be too long. Just end it already. Fine. Fine. July, it's going to be a fun month. It is my birth month, after all. Will I do a celebrate for my birthday? I'm not sure. As far as I know, I'm just doing 2 stories this month. Okay? That being Dragon May Cry and the new Daring story. That's it. Nothing else. Either way, go ahead and stop it now before I run out of time. Please, click the stop button. Click it.